quick video. So we're going to look at the BS48500 battery monitor, which is essentially a shunt made by SRNE Ecosystem, sold by Sky Energy. 68 quid, and you know, it's a pretty good bit of kit, 500 amps, so it makes it on par price with Victron, and almost physically identical in many ways. You can connect to it by Bluetooth, you can use it on its own, and it's just as good as any other shunt that I've used from a main brand. So as I say, my shunt is tucked in underneath there. Simple 2 wires which run up to my battery, and it's currently monitoring my Sky Energy 460 amp hour leisure battery, which again is brilliant. So it's really easy to wire up. So I'm not going to kick the arse out of this video. It's the main feed from the negative terminal on the battery on the battery side, and then you've got a load side which runs to my links distributor or whatever you're using for your mega fuses, etc., to run your van system. So yeah, that's it. You wire it up. If you can only use that, then you might want to consider using the grey cable that comes with it, which allows you to monitor your van's starter battery as well. And again, if you want to do that, then it's quite handy. You just have to run that cable to your vans, depending on where you put it. I've never used it in any of the systems, and I've used Victron ones and other brands. And as I say, this is on par with those. So wiring it up is pretty simple. Connecting to it in the app, again, pretty simple. Open the app, connect to the shunt by clicking plus and putting in the password, and then you'll get the shunt appear. Here it is. So it will show me that on my system the voltage currently is 13.35. It's drawing the current. I've got 450 amp hours of my 460 amp hours remaining capacity. I've used 7 amp hours of that power, and I've got, at the current usage, 276 hours and 51 minutes of capacity in my battery. I've obviously got nothing for my start battery because I've not wired that in. I don't need to, and I don't really want to. I've got that monitored somewhere else, and it gives me the device temperature of the shunt itself. So once you've wired it in and you've connected to it, you can go to settings, and in the settings you just need to configure a couple of things. So you need to set your battery capacity. So you can go into there and you can set your capacity, tiny, big, whichever you want to do, that's correct. You want to change your type of battery to the correct type of battery, and that will adjust the various settings in the background. If you're not using 12 volt, you can select that, but it does automatically detect it, and I have tried it, so it will detect 24 volts if you use 24 volts. The greyed out boxes, I've never used those, and then full cut-off current, don't really know what it does, but as I say, I think that if it drops below that, it turns off. Full testing time is that when you run some of the tests, that it will give a minute of testing of the systems, and then you can set the current state of charge. So at the moment it says that I have got 98% state of charge. So like all shunts, they can fall out of sync with your actual battery. So I'm going to go into the Sky Energy Battery and see what it actually says on the BMS. 99. So it's 1 out. So just for the sake of it, I will correct it. And this is what you'll need to do to start with. So you'll need to set your battery capacity, your house battery type, and then you'll need to set your current state of charge. So let's just whip that up to 99 and click OK. And then once you've done that, what you need to do is, very much like all the other shunts, is set the 0 calibration. So essentially you calibrate it, it reminds you to load things. So what you do is you're going to disconnect all of the loads. So you'll just have battery to shunt, and then you'll disconnect your loads from your shunt, and that will mean it's drawing 0 power. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to click OK. I'm not going to do that because I've just got my system switched on, and that will calibrate your settings in there. You can't change the perfunct factor. One of the other ones you can do is that you want your reset state. So as standard, it's maintain the state of charge. So if you set the current state of charge as 75%, then it will maintain that charge in if you're using the rest of the system. But I want it as 100%, so I want my battery to charge at 100%. Now that doesn't do anything for the shunt. What that is a setting for is if you have got the wider systems, and then what that does is it tells that your SAA to keep charging or not to keep charging. So that's quite handy, but I always set it to 100%. And then you can think, so you can set the state of charge alarm, and then what do you want it to do. You can have an overcurrent alarm in case it's beeping and drawing too much current. That's only going to happen on my inverter, so I've got that on my inverter. You've got the low voltage alarm, again, not worried about that, I've got that set elsewhere, but you can if your battery starts to die. Really handy on older type of batteries. High voltage alarm, again, if the system is working properly, that shouldn't make a difference. And then you can activate that low battery voltage alarm. But as I say, wire it in like any other shunt, set your battery capacity, set the type of battery, do your state of charge of what your BMS says. If not, you haven't got a BMS on your battery, then just use what the shunt says, and then set your zero calibration by disconnecting everything from the load side, and that's it. It will tell you your state of charge is 99%, give you your figures. You can look at the history of what power has been drawn through your system. Again, not really overly interested in that, I'm going to sync it, but I'm not really interested in that data. I'm sure some people are. And then the basic info, essentially you can restore the factory settings, give the device a different name, and again check the firmware version, and it's already on the latest version, and you can change the pins, and you can check the Bluetooth version. So I say a shunt's a shunt. As I say, I think for the price it is, 68 quid, it's good value, and obviously if you buy it with the full ecosystem for 605, it's good value. If you buy it as just part of the starter kit for £365, it's good value. Shunt's a shunt. So I think that's as simple as it gets. Worth having if you haven't got one in your whatever brand you buy, then buy one.